I'd like to start this video off by sending my prayers. I'd like to start this video off by sending my prayers and condolences to the family of John Mills, a worker at Valhalla, who was struck and killed Friday morning when he was hit by a shuttle trying to cross the street. May he rest in peace. I'd like to send my thoughts and prayers to the family of John Mills, a worker at Valhalla who was tragically struck and killed by a shuttle early on Friday morning. May he rest in peace. On Ruffing The Passer show talks football, miscellaneous stuff, and mostly football. I'm your host, Sam Ruffing, and this is episode 96, the recap of the 2024 PGA Championship at Valhalla. And it's going to be a good episode. We're going to discuss whether or not major scoring should be high or low, why they'll never go back to Valhalla for a PGA Championship, how Xander Schauffele did so well, and the beautiful match between Bryson DeChambeau and Victor Hovland. And of course, Scottie Scheffler's terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day. Starting with Xander Schauffele's win at the 2024 PGA Championship. It was just a magnificent performance by him. He shot 21 under for the tournament, including breaking the course record on day one, shooting a 9 under 62. And honestly, I can't think of a player who earned it more than him. Like, it was his time to win a major. He deserved it. He's had 12 major top 10s in his career. 12 major top 10s. That's absolutely insane. He's come top 20 in his last, 10 majors or 12 majors or something, which is an impressive streak. He was bound to win one at some point. His time finally came this past weekend. And the way he did it was just beautiful. I mean, opening up with a bogey-free 62, 9 under, setting the course record, is a heck of a way to start. But even more impressive, after Colin Morikawa made a charge early on Friday morning, and Xander Schauffele was down 2 shots to start, he fought his way back and shot 5 under to head into the clubhouse at 14 under. It was very impressive. No, actually, he shot 12 under to head into the clubhouse. Sorry. He shot 3 under to head into the clubhouse at 12 under. He maintained the lead from there. He shot 3 under the following day to get to 15 under, play in the final group, maintain the lead for all 3 starting days. And in his final day, he just put on a master class of golf. I mean, he was hitting the ball fairly decently with his driver. He was making birdie putts. He made like a 30-footer on hole 1 just to set the tone. He made 5 birdies in his final round, only 1 bogey, and just played some incredibly scramble golf. I mean, he was out of position a couple of times, like on hole 2, he was way left, almost in the penalty area, in the hazard, which he probably could have played, but still in the left rough, and he hits it just long right of the green into the bunker and gets up and down for par, which is an amazing save from there, especially with all the pressure on him, all the nerves. I think he finished the front 9 2 under or 3 under or something like that. I think it was 3 under. Maybe even 4 under. I think it was 4 under. But on the 10th hole, the par 5, he made a uncharacteristic 6, and from there he just changed. I mean, he went from playing timidly to trying to go out there and win, and it was just honestly amazing. He had a great shot. He made back-to-back birdies on 11 and 12. He had a great shot on the par 3 14th from 235, sticks a 5-iron to, I think it was about 12, 15 feet, which is just mad. He sadly missed the putt for putt and made par, but I mean, it was a great shot, great up and down. And the pressure never got to him. I mean, it almost did, but he was able to recover, and that's just what won him this tournament. He was able to take a mistake, recover from it, move on to the next hole, and just execute when needed. It was just amazing to watch. His iron play is already good, so his misses weren't too terrible. But when he did miss, his short game, his chipping and putting were just lights out. Unbelievable. I mean, hole 1 on Saturday, I think it was, he chunked his chip, and then from 10 feet, he still made par. You know, just putted in for par. Looked like the nerves were about to get to him, but they did not. All this while having tons of pressure placed on him, having never won a major, heading in the final group with Bryson DeChambeau and Victor Hovland chasing you down. Bryson posting a 7 under 64 to get into the clubhouse tied with you. Heading to the final hole is... and to still come out on top is just amazing. His recovery on 17 after what was a very unlucky drive. I mean, he pounded it about 315, should have cleared the bunker, but it got an unlucky bounce back into the bunker, and he just chunked it a little bit short and to the right of the green, but he had a great chip up and down, playing some amazing golf. And on hole 18, he had another unlucky drive where it just kept rolling after he pulled it a bit. I think the wind was moving that way. Where it ended up on the lip of the bunker, like in the grass, short stuff, pretty decent lie, but on the bunker, ball above his feet. He had to stand in the bunker, and he pulls out a choke down 4-iron. And I'm like, what are you doing? Just to like hit a 7-iron and bump it to 100 yards or something, trying to make birdie from there. But no, this madman pulls out a 4-iron from about, 240 out, something like that, chokes down on it, and just hits it pure with the ball above his feet in the bunker, barely sliding, almost slipped out of it. I mean, he could have shanked it right into the water. He could have hooked it way left. He could have chunked it only about 100 yards. It was a mad shot that he pulled a bit. Obviously, the ball's above his feet. It's going to happen, but he hits it pure. It goes left to the green, leaves himself an easy chip, which he gets to 6 feet, and he drains the putt from 6 feet. Almost lips it out. It was looking like it could have lipped out, but it stayed in, and he won his first ever major, shooting a major record 21 under par, leading all 4 days, getting up and down 5 out of 5 times from the sand, from the bunker, making birdie after birdie, not letting the pressure get to him late. It was truly amazing. He earned this victory, especially after the disappointment last week, losing the Wells Fargo despite having a lead over Rory McIlroy. Good on you, Xander Schauffele. Congratulations. You earned that victory. Now, as a Bryson DeChambeau fan, it was obviously very sad seeing Bryson lose despite putting up a 7 under 64. But man, did he play well in that final round. I mean, being paired with Victor Hovland in the third to last group was a bit of an interesting choice. I mean, I feel like he could have been paired with Sahith Theegala in the second to last group instead of Shane Lowry, but I don't know how the pairings are made. He was paired with Victor Hovland, probably to just give a good TV group, and man, it did not disappoint. That group with Victor Hovland and Bryson was like a Ryder Cup match. I mean, it started with pars in the first, and then Bryson birdied the second after a beautiful 50 gap wedge to about 5 feet, which he tapped in. And then on hole 5, both Bryson and Victor birdied. They birdied 6. Victor birdied 7, the par 5. They both, to tie up Bryson, they both birdied in hole number 10. And then Victor took the lead when he birdied hole 12 and 13. Bryson did birdie 13. It was looking a little tense, a little rough for Bryson when he had to get up and down on hole 14 and hole 15. But hole 16, man, that was the shot. That could have been the shot of the tournament, like the hole of the tournament, if Bryson had gone on to win. I mean, just he hooks his drive left off the tee. It hits a tree and bounces back into the fairway after clearly looking rattled. I mean, it was a break of a lifetime. And Hovland's down there, just pounded it about 320, has about 195, and Bryson has 221 in. He pulls an 8-iron from 221. I know his lofts are it's about a 6-iron loft, and it's a 7-iron length shaft. But still, an 8-iron from 221, and he just smokes it dead center of the club face. It never leaves the flag. I mean, he's yelling at it to go as soon as it leaves the club face, and he sticks it, lands it about, 3 feet from the pin. It rolls out a foot, just a foot, and gives him a 3-footer for birdie to tie up, Victor Hovland and get within one of Xander Schauffele. And then on a hole 17, he pounds his drive about 350. Hovland makes an amazing shot from 180 yards out in the rough to about 10 feet. And Bryson only hits his wedge, his gap wedge from 130 out to 24 feet. Now it was on the pin line, but I mean, 24 feet. It's very disappointing, sadly. I'm sure he was very angry about it. He missed his birdie putt by just a foot. If he hit it a foot more, it would have gone in. And amazingly, Victor Hovland missed his 10-foot putt, which was extremely sad, but they moved on to hole 18. And I think clearly rattled. Bryson hooked it a bit off the tee and landed in the bunker on a downslope, ball below his feet. Hovland ended up in the rough. Ball slightly sat up, but it was still a weird shot, about 250. He tried to hit 3-iron and just flared it out right, short right of the green. Didn't give himself the best angle into the pin. And Bryson, I mean, 220 out, hits a pretty darn good shot. I mean, ball below his feet. He hits it pure, comes out low. He's hoping it cuts. It didn't cut. But then he got his ball up and down for birdie after chipping it to 10 feet just outside Victor Hovland's putt, and makes it to tie Xander going into the clubhouse, give himself a chance. And sadly for Victor, he missed his putt low from just inside 10 feet and missed the comebacker to make bogey. But it was a amazing final grouping, third to last grouping from those two. I mean, just 13 birdies between them, 1 bogey, 18 holes of golf. It was a masterclass. It was like watching a Ryder Cup match. Man, this Bryson guy would be pretty good in a Ryder Cup. They should consider him next time. I think he'd be pretty all right. Sadly, though, for Bryson, coming in, clubhouse leader tied. Schauffele made that birdie on 18 and crushed his hopes and dreams of playing in a playoff. But man, he played so well that tournament. Like, 7 under, final round, no bogeys. Maybe made 3 mistakes all around, like not birdieing the par 5 7th, having a rough, not birdieing number 4 when it was only 350, slightly drivable, having a not great chip, and coming up short on hole 17 after a 350-yard bomb of a drive. But other than that, you can't really complain. It was pretty much a perfect round, 7 under 64. He had all the pressure, trying to come back from, what happened at Masters, where he didn't have a single day under par after his opening round of 65. And he just comes back and plays extremely well, almost wins, ties the major scoring record of 20 under. The previous one set by, 4 other people. And just loses to an unbelievable performance by Xander Schauffele. And let's give some credit to Victor Hovland. This man came into the tournament not feeling very confident. He had switched coaches. It hadn't worked out, so he went back to his old coach. He missed the cut of the Masters. He hadn't been playing well. And he puts together a great tournament. Finishes 3rd at 18 under. After switching back to his old coach, he said he considered withdrawing from the PGA Championship because he wasn't feeling good about his chances that week. But it paid off. He played really well. He gave golf fans the best 1v1 match since, Jordan Spieth and Phil Mickelson last year. But, I mean, it was a great match like, Stenson and Phil and 2016. Maybe not to that level, but, just a great back and forth duel. And if Bryson had won, made the playoff with Schauffele, and won, his shot on 16 would have been the shot of the tournament. I mean, it still might be the shot of the tournament. It's probably going to be the choke down 4-iron that Schauffele hit. That's going to be the shot. But I mean, unbelievable play from him. He was playing so well. Schauffele's like, he actually said this in the post-round interview. He's like, yeah, I wanted to make that putt because I did not want to face Bryson in a playoff. That's how well Bryson was playing. Good for him. I mean, I haven't seen... It's just honestly amazing the way Bryson has turned around his public image, too, as of late. Because if you remember, way back when Bryson came out, everyone seemed to hate him. Probably because he seemed like a very arrogant youngster, claiming that he was going to change the game of golf, that one-length irons and one-plane swing were the way. He wore a, taxi cap, which was very different. He seemed like he was too smart for everyone else. He had one hole where he played, extremely slow. Everyone clowned him for it. But ever since joining LIV, something has just changed in Bryson. I mean, I think it's really benefited him joining LIV Golf. I mean, first of all, the money, extremely helpful for him. But since joining, he's had 4 top 10 finishes in majors, including the runner-up at the PGA. I think he had 2 in his entire career before this. Ever since he joined LIV Golf, 4 major runner-ups, including at the 2022 British Open, the 2023 PGA Championship, the Masters this season, and now the PGA Championship, just finishing second. His YouTube channel's grown now that he's not really restricted by PGA Tour rights. It's taken off, shown people what he's actually like normally. Just kind of a fun guy who likes to experiment. Very different, but just experimenting, trying new things, trying to get better all the time. He works extremely hard on his game. He built a LIV Golf team, the best LIV Golf team right now out there, and of course he did. He's like, you know what, I'm going to take Paul Casey, a great match play player who hits it straight down the fairway, who won't have a terrible round. Charles Howell, the man of consistency, who can go low but is still very consistent. Anirban Lahiri, coming out of nowhere on his team and just being an absolute stud, can have like a 5-under, 6-under, 7-under round out of nowhere, and doesn't usually shoot too many over par if he's having a bad day. Builds the perfect LIV Golf team, helps out his career, changes the public image of himself, turning a lot of haters into followers. I mean, his career ever since joining LIV Golf, I mean, there's been some people who have benefited a lot from joining LIV Golf, such as Brooks Koepka and Dean Burmester, but I don't know if anyone has benefited as much as Bryson. I mean, maybe Brooks, because he did win a PGA. He's won 4 times on LIV Golf. He's getting paid. He doesn't have to play that many tournaments. But he also had a public feud with his own teammate Matthew Wolff and basically ousted him while he was still on the team about midway through the season. So that's not a good look for him. Let's be real. But Bryson, best LIV Golf team out there, currently playing the best in the majors of any LIV Golf player out there. His YouTube channel's doing amazingly. Things are just looking up for him, man. It's gone well ever since he joined LIV. He did World Long Drive competition contest, came second. He also changed the way the entire game of golf has been played recently. Just bomb and gouge, try and get 190 ball speed, hit it 320. Literally changes the game. He's been having a great career. I wish he could have won the PGA Championship. That would have been so good, but Xander earned it. Such a shame. I'd be remiss if I did not talk about Scottie Scheffler and his terrible, horrible, no good, very bad PGA. I mean, coming into the week, I didn't think Scottie Scheffler was going to do great, just because he became a father recently. He hadn't played in a while. I wasn't entirely sure about his form, but he proved me wrong on day 1, shooting a 4-under, including holing out for eagle on the first hole. which is still insane. Just absolutely maddening. In a good way. But on day 2, after the tragedy that struck the PGA Championship with John Mills, Scotty Scheffler tried to get in. The police were investigating the scene and whatnot. He tried to drive in instead of taking the shuttles, which he was instructed to do. And one cop, I guess, got overzealous. This is just what I know. I don't know necessarily entirely what happened. This is just what I heard. One cop stood up to him and was like, "No, you can't get in right now," and was kind of a jerk and arrested Scotty Scheffler. You know, the nicest guy on tour, a good Christian boy, arrested him for some reason. I'm still not entirely sure why. I think he just had an ego problem. I don't know. Don't know what it was. The body cam footage was conveniently turned off, so we won't find out at this current moment. The Louisville Police Department is probably getting swamped with phone calls of complaints from PGA fans. It was all just an entire mess. Scotty Scheffler was sent to jail. He was watching ESPN on the TV there, wondering when his tee time was, and they were currently talking about him at that point. He manages to make his tee time and shoot 6 under, which is just mad impressive. But I don't think the problems really caught him. The problems didn't catch up to him until the next day when he received a phone call from his lawyer talking about what charges could be issued, what's going on. And to make matters worse for him, Ted Scott, the best caddy on tour probably, who has been there for all of Scotty Scheffler's major wins and PGA Tour victories, said that he was not going to be there for the 3rd round. I'm still not entirely sure why. I want to know. Maybe it's just controversy. Maybe it's just he didn't want to get caught up in the whole thing. Could have been just personal reasons. But that obviously threw off Scotty Scheffler. He opened up with a double on 2, a bogey on 3, and a double on a 4. It was just horrible for him. Very rough. He did fight back to get to 2 over par on the day, but that whole situation with getting arrested, everything that took place beforehand, and then your caddy leaves, just poor Scotty. I mean, I didn't think he would do necessarily the greatest this tournament, but I mean, to have all that happen to you is just awful. That's another reason they're not going to be going back to Valhalla for majors, I don't think. Just because, like, that whole situation, it was horrible. Feel bad for Scotty Scheffler. Feel bad for everyone involved. Hopefully it doesn't happen again, unless it's, justified. Speaking of Valhalla, well, it was a fun course to watch. It was very pretty. And the golf there was extremely good. Like, a little too good, if you know what I mean. But, yeah, there is no way the PGA Championship is going back there. There are just so many problems that happened, obviously, with the guy, with John Mills, who sadly passed there, and a whole lot of other issues. For one thing, this was the lowest scoring PGA Championship of all time. Like, it's not even close. I think the closest one is Riviera in 1997 or something, which had a average score, or a combined score of everyone in the field of 40 over par. This one had a combined score of everyone in the field of negative 251 under par. 251 under par. Sorry, not negative. Just 251 under par. Majors are generally meant to be, like, tougher than PGA Tour events. A great test to see who's really the best golfer, not just who gets the luckiest that day, gets the best bounces. But this one, it was easy. Like, a little too easy. I mean, it rained a whole lot before that tournament. Everything was soft. The greens were soft, so the ball would land and not roll out. The fairways were soft, so nothing would roll out into the rough. The rough wasn't the biggest detractor. There weren't many water hazards to be feared out there. It was just all sorts of a mess, just a big mess out there. And that's not even getting into parking and the fan experience. Apparently, the parking lot, or, the parking situation at Valhalla is absolutely atrocious. Like, you have to park at a hotel nearby or an expo or something and get a shuttle into the tournament, or pay an Uber driver about, $300 just to get there, because, everyone wants to get their inflator rates and whatnot. There weren't many pathways for patrons to walk to get to different holes. It was like a mile walk if you did find a parking space just to get in. The gate was only to 17. The concessions weren't massive. It was all in all a mess. The PGA is just never going back there. Like, just no. they're not going back there. I mean, the PGA is not meant to be the toughest major in existence, but it's not meant to be the type with a combined field score of 251 under par. Just no. That's not how it's supposed to work. It's supposed to be a nice creative test of golf with the best player, that's supposedly the best field in all of golf. That's what it's meant to be. But it did not go well this whole weekend. The arrest of Scottie Scheffler, among other things, soured it even more. They're not going back unless there are like major renovations done to get more fans in there, make the course longer and tougher, to grow thicker rough. And, just having a par 5 as the final hole is definitely an interesting choice. I mean, sure, it did help to make things interesting, but also when Xander shows up tied for the lead on the final hole, he's going to make 4 and win, so yeah. After the record low scoring at the PGA Championship, part of me wonders, is it better to have a high scoring major or a low scoring major? Do you want a really tough major or a really easy major? And I'd say for most of the time, you definitely want a tough major. I mean, things like the US Open should not be won at like 13 under par unless you're playing a traditional course like, say, Pebble Beach or Pinehurst. Courses like that. Because, they've just been around for a while. Obviously, they're not going to hold up to modern day equipment, but they're traditional, so why not? Most of the time, you want it to be low scoring, you want it to be low scoring, tough test. Especially for the PGA Championship, you want not like US Open style, but you want tough scoring, hard to score, lots of bogeys, making par feeling very rewarding, making a birdie just being unbelievable. And you want it to be nice and curved, very technical, some thick rough obviously to punish, but I mean just that kind of perfect. You want the battles like at the US Open, Torrey Pines, John Rahm winning a 5 under, or last year Brooks Koepka winning on the tough Oak Hill course. Things like that. However, I'm just going to say that occasionally I do really like these low-scoring bomb, gouge, and putt majors. Like this last one at Valhalla, despite all its flaws, the golf was incredible. Yes, 251 under par for a tournament is way too low. However, just the birdie fest between Bryson and Hovland, Xander Schauffele shooting 9 under day 1, Shane Lowry shooting 9 under on day 3, Justin Rose going low. It was just amazing to watch. Because it was just and they stuck it close after a great drive. Oh, and they made the putt. What a putt. 3 par 5s available. Getting up and down, getting eagles, having chip-ins. It was so much fun. Seeing Bryson birdie that hole. Birdie 16 from, 221 out was mad. Xander Schauffele's birdie on the final hole was incredible. Occasionally, having a major like this is pretty good, I'd say. Not if it's LACC, that just stunk. That was just boring, the crowd stunk, the course was wide open and terrible. I hated it. Don't go back to LACC. Just gonna say that right now, I just need to get that out there. No LACC. Of course, if I were invited to play, I would. It does look pretty nice and schwanky. However, you get the point. Don't go back to LACC. But every once in a while, having a low-scoring major is fun. I mean, I mentioned earlier, the Pebble Beaches or the Pinehursts. The 2022 Open was low-scoring. I mean, Cameron Smith shooting 20 under to win, 8 under in his final round to come back and beat Rory and Cam Young. That was awesome. Yes, the old course, was absolutely destroyed by modern equipment. But still, to see a player go out there and do that was amazing. The battle between Henrik Stenson and Phil Mickelson in 2016 at Royal Troon, I think it was. Sure, Stenson shot 20 under, but it was unbelievable. Of course, what makes that one even better is that the rest of the field didn't even do that great, to be perfectly honest. I think third place was 10 under or something, 8 under. They were really far back, so maybe it's not the best example, but like low-scoring majors where it's just bomb and gouge and people getting birdies and all the momentum shifting is really fun to watch. I don't want it every time just because it would get very boring after a while to be watching a PGA Tour event or Live Golf Greenbrier. But yeah, every once in a while just to see pros go out there and demolish a course that, the greenskeeper think they did well is pretty fun. Not gonna lie, it's pretty fun. And finally, for my last topic, I want to ask, I just noticed an observation. Most people will say that the PGA Championship is the worst major in golf. And you know what, I have a tendency to agree with them. It really just feels out of place compared to the rest of the majors. It's not the toughest test in golf. That's the US Open. It's not the most prestigious golf major. That's the Masters. It's not the most traditional and skilled. That's, the British Open. And it isn't unique because it's played in America, which so is the US Open. And it's not played in August anymore, so it's not the last major. It doesn't have that to its credit. It's stuck in May, which kind of seems like a weird timeline, like we're just kind of waiting for the US Open to roll around. It leaves the British Open as the last major, which ends in July, which is weird considering golf season goes all the way to September, well, more like October, in the northern states. It's just all out of whack and weird. Yet for some odd reason, the PGA Championship has some of the best finishes in just major history. And I just can't figure it out why. This year, Xander shooting 21 under to beat Bryson, who made a final round charge of 64, 7 under. The year before that, Brooks Koepka holding off Victor Hovland, winning his first major in 4 years after thinking he was done competing in majors after his knee injury. Great drama there. 2022, the one at Southern Hills, where Mito Pereira blew it on the final hole and Justin Thomas came back from 7 shots down to win in a playoff against Will Zalatoris. 2021, when Phil Mickelson, at the age of 50, almost 51, wins his 6th major while holding off Brooks Koepka and Louis Oosthuizen. And then 2020, Colin Morikawa breaking the tie with 8 other players in first with his chip in. I think it was on 13, was spectacular. Just great golf that has been played on the PGA Championship. If we go back even further, Brooks Koepka won his 4th major in 3 years in 2019, and the year before that, he held off Tiger Woods, who shot 8 under in the final round. He held him off to win his first ever PGA Championship. It's considered the worst major by pretty much most people. But yet, it always has some of the best finishes. And it's honestly amazing, because you got what people consider to be the best major, at least here in the United States, of the Masters in the British or Europe and other places like that. They obviously consider the Open to be the best, which I won't blame them for. That's what they grew up watching. That's what they're from there. You can have that. But anyways, the Masters hasn't been competitive in a final round since 2019. Ever since Tiger's win, Dustin Johnson ran away with it. Hideki ran away with it. Scotty Scheffler ran away with it. Jon Rahm ran away with it, despite Phil's late charge. And what looked like a promising Masters this past season with Scotty Scheffler only a stroke ahead of a few other guys came up to be really disappointing as he just took off on the back nine, as always, and we were left disappointed. But the PGA, despite being the worst, always just seems to deliver. I'm not sure what it is. It just does. Is it like the style that's played? Because it's not obviously meant to be as tough as US Open. But it's meant to be slightly more technical with the courses, like more shot shapes required, course management, that kind of thing. Being a great iron player as opposed to just hitting it long. And it's like, you can still hit it long and win there, unlike the British Open, where sometimes it's not necessarily beneficial to hit it long because the fairways just roll out forever. You need to be a great chipper, great putter, know how to hit a stinger in links golf, that kind of a thing. Maybe it's just that kind of setup that just benefits the PGA so well. I don't know what it is, but it always just shows up and performs. And even with Brooks's 2023 one, which technically wasn't the closest, we had the Michael Block storyline. I mean, he finishes top 15, makes a par on the last to get himself into this PGA Championship, which he played absolutely horrifically in. Don't worry, he'll just still keep his YouTube career and get that movie eventually. But still, the PGA, for whatever reason, despite being the least prestigious, the most awkward, the worst timed major out there, always seems to deliver. And you know what? That's pretty good. And I thank you very much for watching this episode of Ruffing the Passer. This has been episode 96, the recap of the 2024 PGA Championship at Valhalla, which they will never go to ever again for a PGA Championship, and rightfully so. I thank you very much for watching. Hit the subscribe button if you like my content and want to see more. Hit the bell to stay notified when all uploads are uploaded. Hit the like button and share this with your friends and family. Comment below your thoughts on this PGA Championship, and I will see you later. Goodbye.